for real. Price won't drop for real. Over the top for real. Over the top for real. Over the top, checking the stock. It's about to pop for real. Got a Nike deal. All I see is checks. Yo, boy, they on Instagram flexing for respect. Yo, boy, you can really check. I don't drive flight. Yo, boy, tell the captain they be capping most of y'all. Yo, I got 50 on 50. I made a million just being home. I kept a Benz and I had a roll. Walked in the jewelry store, bought a roll. Billboard #1 did that. Independent label, I built that. Illuminati rumors, I killed that. Arena full of people, I feel that. Welcome to Monday Moments with Marcus. So glad that you joined me on this evening. We are down for interesting conversation. I'm glad to have our guest on today. We want you to make sure that you are sharing, and that you are sharing. We also want you to go and click on YouTube, Pastor Marcus Beard. We want you to go and click on that, subscribe. Also hit the notifications tab so you can know that everything that we have going on tonight. We want to welcome you back on this week to Monday's Moments with Marcus. Let's talk Kingdom. And I am glad for you to be rocking with me on tonight. I'm so honored that you've taken the time out to come and just hear whatever it is that we are discussing today. So you are just as important as I am and as the guest, because you are the kingdom. Amen. So we want to bring it in. Before we get started, though, I want to make a clarification because I was talking to my mama this morning, and my mom said, I'm going to see you on tonight at church. So Assistant Pastor Dottie Beard and Deacon Beard, I want you to know this is Monday Moments with Marcus. This is not church. Amen. So save your Sunday's best. Put on your muumuu. Take your wig off. Take your eyelashes off. And you come every morning to come and hear. Every Monday to come to see what we're talking about on here. And I'm just joking. I really love my mom. I also want to give a shout out to Lady V. Lady V's fish fry. Lady V's fish fry every first and third of Friday. Flyer is on the board. They are going to be serving all these types of dinners for you all on October the 2nd, 2020. All the information is up there. I'm going to be sharing it next week. They're also going to be featuring my son's lemonade, Keb's lemonade. So you're going to have some Casey special half gallons, some peach lemonade, and some strawberry lemonade. So we want you to support that. And then I am going to also throw in some little cake in a jar. So we're going to have red velvet from scratch, made by Pastor Marcus exclusively. So red velvet cakes in a jar. We're also going to have some German chocolate cakes in a jar. And we're going to have some lemon cakes in a jar. So we want you to come and support the fish fry, fish dinners, chicken dinners, get some lemonade and get some desserts. We want to support our own kingdom business. Amen. And then when it's kingdom and black, it's not going to be whack. So we want you to make sure that you go and you support that. I am honored today to have someone who I am excited to have on my show. He has his own show on Thursday nights, Real Talk with Ro. And I am honored that he's taken the time to come out here. So I am going to introduce my brother, Pastor Roshod Hall.
Hey man, what's good, Doc?
What's going on, bro? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing good. Glad to be a part of your show on tonight. And thank everyone for tuning in. Welcome to everybody. I'm just glad to be here, man. Thank you for considering me.
Oh yeah. I'm sure that you have something to share with us tonight. That's going to challenge us week by week. It's just been great for me. Because, sometimes as pastors, we get so busy and we don't have the time to really chop it up with each other And the Bible speaks of iron sharpening iron, right?
Yes.
And to me, that's not necessarily going to a class or going to a conference, but that's just having everyday conversation, with other brothers, other sisters, in the gospel. We should leave every conversation sharpened a little more, right?
Right.
That's what I try to bring, and that's my assignment, with this, is just to bring, um, that type of conversation where we are just really, strengthening one another. And I'm just glad that you, were just down, right, to join in. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you pastor and all that stuff.
All right. Well, I'm the senior pastor of People's Independent Church of Christ in Los Angeles, California. We're on the corner of 58th Place and West Boulevard. I'm also the CEO and executive director for DeLynn Community Development Corporation, where we strive to empower individuals, small businesses in areas that they need their business to be strengthened in. I am currently single, divorced, have 2 kids by the same wife. Both of my kids were in wedlock. I know this church, Doc. You might have some church in you. So yes, my ex-wife, she is the mother of both of my children. We had them in marriage, but unfortunately, we divorced some time back. But we're both great co-parents, and we're doing that well, man. I just recently yesterday celebrated my 1 year anniversary at People's Independent, man. So
Congratulations.
yes, man. Thank you. God has been gracious to me. Also, I'm a doctoral student. I made the decision to go back to school. So I just started my first semester at Payne Theological Seminary, going for my doctorate in ministry with the emphasis in transformative preaching. So shout out to my mentors, Reverend Dr. Kimberly Credit and the Reverend Dr. Ralph West. So
Okay.
those are my mentors. So y'all pray my strength, because going for your doctorate is a monster, Doc. But um, I'm trying to do what the Lord calls us to do. Like you said, iron sharpening iron. So I want to be the
Yes.
best I can for able to do the Lord's work. So that's just a little bit about me.
That's awesome. Awesome. And let me tell you, my favorite show on Thursday nights, I get the opportunity, to just put my comments in, and I didn't realize it, that everybody kept calling me pastor, because my YouTube name on there is Pastor Marcus Beard. So
Right.
some of my comments I have to take back because I'm like, okay, let me not put that out there like that. But I love your show, because I definitely get the opportunity to really, just not be any deep, just have a good time, learn, laugh, but also grow. So I definitely appreciate what you do. But I tell you, my favorite one, was, and I think I shared this with you, was with you and your ex-wife. Um,
Yeah,
Not
man.
only because
I got
go,
crucified by that, man, for the brothers. They was like, "You gonna do what? I know you not gonna put your ex-wife on your show." I said, "Man, listen, we have come," and I just really wanted to be honest and show people that divorce isn't easy, right? It isn't easy, but I don't believe that you have to hate the other person. You have to, dislike the other person. I think there is room that once you both get to a place that you've healed and still continuing to heal. But we just came to a meeting of the minds. I'll be honest, and I think she was too, that it was a point at the divorce where we weren't getting along. It was still more about, the divorce than it was about making sure we were trying to be the best parents we could be to the boys. And when we really sat down and had that come to Jesus moment and was like, listen, if you stop your petty, I'm gonna stop my petty. And when I apologize genuinely, that's the point. When I genuinely apologized not just so I can get past, but I heard her and I apologize, and she did the same. Man, our relationship as parents, it just took off. Um,
Wow.
and we've been the better for it. So I didn't feel really no angst with bringing her on, to just talk about where we were, what dating looks like and what it looked, what what did I do, when I was trying to pursue her, and you know what I mean. It was just, I think it was a fun conversation, that we had to let people know that, man, you don't have to totally, um, get rid of a person, just because you're not married to them. Because whether I like it or not, at this point, we're going to be connected for the remainder, our children.
Yes.
So it's best to try to develop and nurture, that relationship so that our kids will be the better for it.
And you know what the reality is, bro, is that there are people who love the Lord, who are saved, and they are going to be raptured up with Him, but they have had divorces, right? And what I liked about the conversation is that it showed a maturity, right? That we often don't see, and so I appreciated it. Um, Seeing that, because I think that there were other people, and I think I said this when I first got wind of your show and check you out, that there, I know you don't take things, or things aren't that serious as or deep, I would say, but God is definitely using that platform, to raise an awareness of His will, His heart, His desire, and I believe that that conversation was one of those conversations. Somebody needed to hear that, right, and see
Yeah.
that, and hopefully that made them say, because let me tell you something. When you have children, you got to understand that, and if your relationship is bad, um, you just got to be an adult and understand what's important for those children. And I think that there are a lot of people that are so selfish and in their feelings, that they, when they split or divorce, they cause this very, very traumatic experience for their children, because from my perspective, they were not there for
Yeah.
their children. Throughout the divorce, it was all about them, right? So I respect that, bro. And that has been my favorite show. I believe it was called Duck Duck Goose.
Yeah, it was. It was Duck Duck Goose, and I'll probably bring, as I said, you want to come back, and we'll probably do another show and bring her back, man. And I tried to, you know, make sure that we're good, learning from, right here it is, in which some people in the church don't talk about, learning, being a product of divorce, right, and living that through. Unfortunately, my mother and father didn't make it, and aren't divorced, and now my dad has remarried, and I got my stepmother, and everything is good, and like you said, time heals all wounds. um, but knowing that, that feeling as a child, right? And one of my monikers, like I always try to tell people, is like, you can never genuinely talk about a place you haven't been,
Mm,
right? Not genuinely, right?
that's
I
true.
really couldn't talk about parenting until I had my own, and then everything my dad and grandmother were talking about, they was like, "Don't worry about it, just wait." And I'm like, "Oh man, now I see what Daddy talking about. Now I see what
Hmm.
Mama talking about, right?" And for me, it took a lot of humbling for me, because my ex-wife Ashley, she hasn't been to that place. Her parents are still married and been married for 39 years, right?
Mm.
So it's that ebb and flow, like you said, when it's time, when you gotta humble and not try to, we have to do that balancing act, because I sometimes I can recognize things in my boys that she can't. Why? Because she's never been through that process.
Hmm.
Right. So it's now about me and her having those open conversations to say, "Hey, Ash, look at this, see this, recognize this." And now she, because we've gotten our relationship to that place to where now she hears me, because she knows, she understands my perspective. right? And I understand hers now. So when she's saying, hey, the boys need this or that, hey, or you know, pick up the phone, or they gonna reach out or do this, that, and the other, I'm more in tune, right, to what she's hearing. So just trying to really make that work, and then placing it on the platform that it was in the church, right? It's a lot of stuff that the
Wow.
church just don't talk about, in which I believe has caused our Generation X. Maybe a lot of people from 1965 to like present, that Generation X and millennial generation has really veered away from the church. And I think one variable is that because it's that hypocrisy that we've shown, right? Because they live with their mother that's on the mother's bench, and the deacon that's on the deacon board, or the trustee, or the choir director. They've grown up in your house. So you're one way at church, but they see you at home, and they like, wait a minute, if this is the God you serve, what's in these 66 books is not lining up to what you living out in your life. And I don't want, y'all playing church.
Yep.
Right? So a portion of Real Talk with Ro was just kind of having some conversations and putting things on the forefront. Like, we're not in the sanctuary, we're not in the temple. So y'all come off all of that other stuff, man. Let's have some candid conversations. And I think through that, we can start to win people back to the church and just show some authenticity. Listen, you know, I mean, Bear, you've been in the church, man. There's too many folks that's you too heaven bound and you ain't no earthly good. Like, it's okay to say tequila. It's okay to say vodka. You're not going to hell because you just said Hennessy. You know what I mean? You know, just because you said the word. You know what I mean? You're not going to hell because you said blunt or weed. You know what I'm saying? And the Lord, he didn't strike me down yet. You know what I mean? Just, you know, because you talk about these subjects and these topics, because that's what people are dealing with in the real world, and they want to know that even more than the pastor, because we're only one person.
Yes.
Right? To be honest, we're one person. If a person, most of the time, if they stay anchored in the church, it's not necessarily dependent on the pastor. It's the people, right? Because we can't touch everybody. So how we treat individuals when they come in and when they go out, the love that we show towards one another authentically, especially when we err, I think is what causes people to hold on.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Well, I'm gonna creep in one Thursday night as Zion B in the chat room. So I can really say
say it with your chest, man. Change your
you know,
moniker. I know my thing up here. I looked at it when I typed in. I said, should I put Pastor on here or should I not? You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, people do. They get a whole nother perspective. So by all means, man, change your name on Thursday so you can say what you want to say. You're gonna be all right.
And you know, I tend to say what I want to say, but you know,
you do.
But but I will say this is that and I say this to my church, to my family, and to just everyone that God has. It's an insult for people to just limit me to being a pastor. Like my name is not pastor. That's what God has called me to do. Right. This is the assignment, the role that I'm in. God put so much more into Marcus than pastor.
Right.
So you are devaluing me when you just limit me to a pastor, right?
Right.
And I think even more so for me, because I grew up in church and I've been pastoring. I know the whole church thing, but I've never really been actively engaged, like in fellowships and all of that stuff. So really there is like a Marcus, right? Like my life is not surrounded about pastor. There really is a Marcus Beard, right? He's real. Then he has that alter ego named Zion B that you don't really want to you know,
you don't want me.
Step to. You don't want to meet
you don't want to meet him. People don't understand that as the Bible calls it, pastoring is a vocation, which means it's a job, right? We're going to be preachers and or ministers for the entirety of our life, but we probably can only effectively pastor for only so long. It's a job. So it's gonna, we're gonna have to hang up that hat. And if we're smart enough, we hand it off to a capable man or woman of God that can take the baton, because we're just in a relay race.
Yep.
And we take it. So it's not the total of who we are. So that I always say that when I look at and I entertain the thought of even getting married again, I don't need her to be enamored by Pastor Hall. Do you know Roshod?
Yeah.
Because when I leave, I need you to know Roshod, not Pastor Hall, because Pastor Hall is only one part of me, and it's gonna come a time when I'm not pastor no more. And can you move and matriculate? Like you said, enjoy the things that Marcus enjoys to do outside of the pulpit or outside of the four walls of the church. Whether it is you like to go jet skiing or rock climbing or walk on the beach, whatever it is that you love to do, read books that don't have absolutely nothing to do with ministry. Will your family, your wife, your loved ones, will they vibe with that?
Yep.
And if they can get attached to that and they love that, they'll have no problem, right, following you in ministry, because they know that this is you're a real guy, you're a real cat.
Yep.
As the old guys would say, you're a real cat. So
and holiness and righteousness, we have made that exclusive to church and all that stuff, but really it's not even about where you are, it's about how you are where you are.
yeah.
And the same way that I am in the pulpit, I should be able to be in the living room, right? I'm not hooping and hollering, sweating all over the place, laying hands and
Right.
speaking in tongues, but the character is still the same.
Yeah. Don't put me like, I'm not gonna be in my den talking about E flat. Like, I don't want to
Yeah.
hear E flat chord or A flat chord, a diminished or an augment either. I'm not trying to clap my hand. Man, listen.
Yeah.
We the Raiders and the Saints game is on. As soon as this finished, I'm going to watch the Raiders and the Saints game, right? And just to chill and be. People
Yep.
forget that even as Christians, we're still normal. You're still a human, right?
Yeah.
We're sinners saved by grace, but we still have to live and operate down here on earth.
Yep.
So we just, some Christians, we got to stop it. Some of us got to stop it. I'm gonna say all of us. Some of us, we just got to stop with the judging, man. It's not doing us any good.
I think that's a good transition into my next question is, what's your favorite pastime?
Man, my favorite pastime, and I can't do it like I used to, is basketball, hooping. We've
Okay.
been locked down on the pandemic and stuff like that, not able to get out. But I am a basketball fiend. After basketball, I would say movies. I am a movie buff. I love uh, action, like a good
Okay.
action flick is really good. I was just watching, before we came on, watching Bourne Ultimatum with Matt Damon, the
Okay.
Bourne series. But I'm a
Uh-huh.
fan of action flicks. And then other than that, man, reading, you see the bookcase behind me, reading books and just enjoying, man, just trying to get that balance, live that balanced life. One of a family member, but he's really a mentor, almost a father in the ministry, Bishop Todd Hall out of Orlando. Some people know him as Prophet Todd Hall, others know him as Dr.
Oh,
Todd Hall.
okay.
But he has been one that has really taught me over the years of trying to live a balanced lifestyle. So I've tried to incorporate that into life. Uh, Balance, man, being able to cut off. But basketball, movies, reading. When it's time, when we get out of this house, just getting out of the house, uh, just to kind of hang out. But that's what it is. And other than that, spending time with my babies.
Nice.
I'm a boy dad. They this whole girl dad going. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I don't have any girls, so I'm a boy dad. Spending time with them.
Yeah, I'm a boy dad and a man dad. My oldest is 18 and my youngest is 5.
Oh man, what is wrong with you?
So I am, but you know what? I'm enjoying it. It's a blessing, and I'm enjoying being the kindergarten teacher virtually. So,
listen, I left that today. Mama, praise the Lord for her. My oldest is 8 and my youngest is 6, man. And listen, I believe, I say this for the record now, every teacher on every grade level needs a minimum salary of 6 figures. Everybody should be starting off at 100K. If you don't appreciate your teachers since this COVID has crept on in, I bet you appreciate them now. I bet the teacher ain't lying, was it? Yo, they lying on my baby. Oh, teacher ain't lying now. Yeah, teachers definitely, they are worth everything and then some. I have such a greater appreciation for those who are the teachers from grades K through 12. Yeah, man, they're definitely doing it.
What's your favorite food?
Favorite food, steak. I can go for a good steak, and either a side of an extra hot baked potato with all the fixings instead of sour cream. I'm not a fan of sour cream, but a good steak from Mastro's or Ruth's Chris or Fleming's. Yes, Lord. See, you about to get me hungry all over again, man. Yeah.
I haven't eaten meat in I stopped counting. It's at least 7 years. But I said that if I ever go back to eating, it's going to have to be like Ruth Chris at a steak. And I love mashed potatoes. So if I ever go back, that's probably going to be the first thing, and maybe the only thing that I would ever eat.
Oh man, well, we gonna pray your strength. Giving up the meat. I'm trying to get away from bread, man. I'm trying to let this bread alone, because we get on some bread. So I'm starting to transition a little bit towards fish. I like salmon and basa and all that good stuff. Trying to expand. But if I had to get a favorite dish, Doc, take me to Mastro's and get a good steak with that truffle butter. Woo. I'm like Drake, Doc, talking fillets with the truffle butter. Man, listen, it's nothing like it.
See, I couldn't, when all this is over, I can't go out to eat with you, Frank, and Theo, and all them because,
Man,
I'll be sitting there.
Salmon. They got some get you some good
I don't eat fish.
We're gonna get you
I don't
some
eat
prawns.
fish.
You don't eat fish?
I'll eat fish. I don't eat any type of meat, or I guess a animal type thing. But I do eat like eggs and milk and stuff.
Man. We gonna check your holy. You don't know what's wrong. You can't even get. Do you eat shit? No chicken either.
No chicken.
Oh,
see,
man.
You know what? So my people, if someone says they don't eat meat, chicken is included in meat.
Yeah.
But it's hard for black people to believe that a black man don't eat chicken. But no, I don't eat any meat anymore.
I don't know what they call. Are you a pescatarian or vegetarian?
No, I'm just a vegetarian. I'm just a vegetarian.
What they call what you eat? What do you eat? Air?
Yeah, but I'm a very I need to work on being more healthy though in my vegetarian lifestyle. But so the next part, I'm going to shout out some words. I actually even typed them on the screen in case you couldn't hear me clearly. And I want you to tell me the first thing that you think about when you hear that word. And if you feel an inclination to elaborate, you can do that. So the first word is going to be dedication. Dedication.
First thing I just thought about right now when you put on dedication, I thought about Nipsey Hussle. First thing that came up, Nipsey Hussle, man, that his song Dedication. Yeah, bro. That's first thing I thought about is Nipsey. But I like the fact how he was dedicated to trying to uplift those in the Crenshaw area, right? Because literally I'm walking distance from Marathon. The church is walking distance from Marathon, and I liked how he was intentional about trying to, even though he was right, he never shied away from his beginnings and what he had to do as far as being in from 60s and different stuff like that. But he saw past that and was like into owning your own business and making sure that, you know, you knew how to make it through life, right? Through his raps and stuff like that. So pride myself on trying to be dedicated to the ministry, but foremost, you know, dedicated to God, dedicated to raising my children, dedicated to ministry, and then on and on and on. The first word, Nipsey, man, all day.
Yep. I hear you on that. And some of y'all talk about his 60s affiliation, but y'all gangster affiliated with Church of God in Christ, Baptist, and
right, you know what I mean?
All that other crap.
I'm
So
telling you,
it's just
I'm
all the
all
same
about
thing.
the blood, man. I'm all about. What game you from? The blood game. Blood of Jesus. All day. I'm repping the blood all day.
Reality.
Man, first thing pops in the mind is that I think we need to get away from what we're watching on TV in these social media platforms. I think it has really done a disservice. BET, MTV, VH1, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, all of these social media platforms has really caused us to get a false sense of what reality really is. And again, I don't blame totally, you know, all of the minority artists because we weren't in control of these various platforms, right? We were trying to get on. And then once we got on, you see the advent of the Jay-Z's and the Diddy's and, you know, even the ones that paved the way for them, the Russell Simmons, Master P, different guys like that that were able to own their own brand and own their own label. But we have to really know that stuff is not real. What people are posting on those sites are not reality. What we're viewing on TV, what the housewives and the real wives and this and all this kind of stuff, it's really not real. And it's not giving us, I think, a backdrop or a blueprint of who we ought to aspire to be as people. I was just having a conversation with one of my good friends. I miss the Cosby Show and the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and Family Matters and Martin and the Jeffersons and, all those kind of shows that gave us good representation of what we can look to as far as minorities. And again, I'm not knocking any of these shows. They're doing what they have to do. But I think it has jaded what reality is. It's not all about the cars and the clothes and all this other stuff I don't even know because I don't do it all the time. The selfies and it's not all about that. We really need to get back to, what's real. We're majoring in the minors, and we're minoring in what's really important in life.
Yeah, I was on a call or a webisode of Friday with some brothers, and one of the things that I shared is that we major in things that don't matter, right? And I'll tell you that one of the things that my wife and I do to just chill out together is that we watch some of these reality shows, right? But what's interesting is that these people are making these hundreds of thousands of dollars per season or whatever, and they're still renting homes, or they're still losing their homes. So you would have to be a fool to kind of model and your desires and your plans, your goals after all of this reality stuff, because it's scripted, first of all, which means it ain't real anyway, right? And we get mad, and we miss church, Bible study, and all that stuff to go and watch this stuff, and it's meaningless. The
Meaningless.
next word, the
Got
next
all that.
word will be
Yeah.
no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I said, got all that platform, and we're like you said, you're not making a real impact in even building your own life, man. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
gotta do better. Plant. Oh, plant. First thing I thought about, and like you said, I don't want to get too deep, is Paul, Apostle Paul, when he says that one planteth, another one water, but God gives the increase.
Mm.
In us, I told the church numerous of times when we're dealing in our different spaces that we come across we're going into different environments or different sects in life. We need to be keen to the spirit that when the Lord puts you in a place to where He's gracing you to come in contact with people, you need to be able to be in tune. And which one are you? Are you the planter or are you the waterer
Wow.
in this conversation? Right? Are you? And it's not always about what like leading with Jesus, right? It's just about uh, am I here just to plant a seed that somebody else is going to come and water later, right? Because the Bible tells us those who win souls are wise. So
Yeah.
it's not always that we have to be upfront and in someone's face with salvation, but I think some of it comes down just to how we treat people. Just a
Yep.
normal good morning could do wonders for somebody. Just when you walking in somebody's face, just smile and say, "Hey, how you doing?" Oh, good. And that could just spark a conversation, or how we treat people, how we interact with people, and that could be also you watering something else. You
Yep.
know, but we have to be in tune with that. Are you the planter in this situation? Are you the waterer? We're never given increase. That's God's job.
Wow.
Uh, but which one are you? And one of my longtime pastor friends, been as a friend of my dad, Pastor Edward Dillon. He said nobody uh, is neutral in your life. He said they're either coming to add or subtract. Nobody's neutral.
Yep.
So if we're looking at planting, is what you're planting in your home, is it subtracting or adding? Is what you're planting in ministry, is it subtracting or adding? On your job, whether you're an employee or you're the owner or a manager or supervisor, are you planting, right? In your plant, are you adding or subtracting from what you're doing? Um, so,
That's good. That's good. Good. The next word is moment.
moment. Um, enjoy them. And enjoy, I would say, to encourage everybody in what they're in, man, enjoy the moments that we're in. It doesn't only seem, we can see um, that the Lord is calling generals, male and female, home. From Ruth Bader Ginsburg, notorious RPG, uh,
Mhm.
to Representative Elijah Cummings, Representative John Lewis, um, Chadwick Boseman, Kobe.
Mhm.
I mean, the list goes on and on that I haven't really seen, I don't know, in my lifetime, those caliber of people going in almost a 12-month span. And
Mhm.
I ain't been on earth long. I'm only 39. Maybe somebody else would be able to chime in if it was another time where we had this many influential, and when we say legends, we knew they were legends or icons, all of those individuals that have literally almost been called home in like a year span. Um, so I would encourage everybody, enjoy the moment. Don't take nothing for granted, not even this moment. Absorb
Yes.
what we can, enjoy what we can. That's when you hit me, man, with the invite, I was like, man, I'm coming. Um, because I just want to be able to enjoy the time I have with you, and it's genuine. It's not fake because we're not promised to see the next hour, and I think we
Yeah.
can authentically say that now. We always just used to say it in church. Well, you ain't promised tomorrow. Come on and accept Jesus. But man, that thing getting real for real. Like you really are not promised to see tomorrow, whether you're old or you're young. Enjoy these moments. Enjoy time with people. Get relationships right. Whatever you arguing over, I promise you, it ain't that serious. Because whatever it is, it ain't probably 9 times out of 10, what you arguing over ain't gonna help you make no money. So you know what I mean? Get over it and get it right. Because we really just we don't know. But yeah, definitely enjoy the moment.
Yeah, some of y'all need to have a Brandy Monica moment. Y'all just need to sit up and be some grown adults about stuff. Moments are important, right? And that's really what this is about. Moments with Marcus is just really having those moments with other people, having those conversations, and then allowing that dialogue to really spark something in someone else. I got 2 more words for you. 2 more words for you. Let me pick them. Let me pick them. Let me pick them. Let's do dilute.
Dilute, man. I believe the church has become a victim of a diluted gospel, right? We've hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok by all of those superlatives, somewhat in a I can't say it's all money, but it's just not being honest, wanting to be liked, and almost at all costs, right? Jesus was loving, but Jesus was honest, right? Paul, Peter, all of the disciples, the early church, they showed love, they gave love, they did all of those things, but it came right at a cost. And I think some of that, I think pastors, we have to bear. So I'm not removing myself from anybody else, and nor am I better than any of my contemporaries or predecessors. But I think we've diluted, or we're trying to fit in so much to become a part of the mainstream, where it's kind of diluted the importance, or not. It's not the importance. What's the better word? The significance, right, of the church. That, right, because we were trying to fit in and trying to be hip, but we are to be hip or current or dope or whatever other adjective you want to add, woke, in our own way, without having this. I think we've authentically, if I'm saying this right, some of your viewers may crucify me, but I think we've got away from that come as you are. We tell people come as you are, but then we want to be the Holy Ghost when they come. Right? You got to come in a 3-piece suit, have your Sunday go to meeting clothes on. Women got to wear their dress all the way to their ankle. Please don't have young lady. Brother, your hair got to be done. You have to be groomed. Right? I think we've kind of taken all of this dressing people up, when in the Bible it says that God does not look at the outer appearance. Man looks at the outer appearance, but God looks at the heart. And we won't allow the Lord time, right? We don't allow the Holy Ghost time to create what he desires that individual to be, not what the church or a man or a woman or even the pastor, what they want that individual to be. You know what I mean? We looking at folk. Well, wait a minute. You remember when you came in? Quit looking at that dude that don't have it all together. You didn't have it all together. Quit looking at that girl that don't have her life all together, or she got kids out of wedlock. Truth be told, some of y'all got 10, 8 kids, and how they end up with all these different last names. But you the mother of the church. All of a sudden, you Holy Ghost filled and fire baptized. but all of your kids ain't got the same last name, but can't nobody say nothing to you though. And how soon you forgot and don't want to give grace to the next person, right? We're not. So we've kind of diluted the impact that the church can have because they like, man, well, people out in the street accept me more than the church. We've really become judgmental, and when people make mistakes, we don't give them grace. You know what I'm saying? I think sometimes we got to be careful, man, because if the Lord pulled everybody's papers, man, our sin sheet will be from here to the mountain.
Wow.
And but honestly, it's literally by the grace and mercy of God that He hasn't uncovered all of us. Because we be honest, wouldn't nobody want to go home with you? Because you a mess. But we come into the sanctuary, we come into the temple to worship, and we put these clothes on and act like we got it all together, and come up in God's house like we did Him a favor.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Honestly, we walk up in here, you don't want to clap, you don't want to raise your hands, you don't want to run, you don't want to shout, you don't want to lift your voice, you want to say nothing as if, well, God, I'm here. You ought to be glad I'm here. Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not smiling or anything. Let me tell you, I'm so thankful of the route that God has allowed me to take, because like I just can't stand foolishness. I don't like sitting in people's pulpits because I need to be able to just ease on out when the foolishness start, and I don't need people looking at me. So, because the basis of it is this diluted gospel, right?
Yeah.
And I believe that the problem with the church is that we have talked about Christ being our savior, but we have not really introduced the lordship of Christ to the believers. So everybody's talking about Calvary and they're shouting about Calvary, and that's great. That's significant, but nobody's anticipating his return, right? So we live how we want to live. We make our own decisions. We do what we want to do. And because we have no real hope and we don't know anything about the future, even though it's spelled out for us in the Bible, right? So for us, pleasing God is making sure that we're shouting and we have the right colors on, making sure that, sister's dress is at an acceptable level, and, and brothers walking in all built, those are the things, man. Right?
I still ask my dad to this day, man, what is this doily thing these women be putting on their head? I still don't understand the purpose of that. Find that in the Bible. What is this? What is all this stuff? I ain't gonna get you in trouble, man. Some of your members might be on here. They don't send the pastor to hell. But I'm just trying to figure out, ain't none of this stuff helping nobody get saved. You know what I mean? Like, what is all this stuff that we putting on top of Jesus? I thought Jesus was it. Like, you know what I'm saying? That now you Jesus and you got to do this. Jesus and you got to do that. Jesus and you got to do. Well, wait a minute. Well, what he go to Calvary for if we trying to make people do all this other stuff?
Exactly.
It's just diluted. I think it's like Paul tells us in Romans 12, we have to be renewed. But you know what I'm saying? Transformed.
By the renewing of our mind.
Our mind needs to be renewed. One of my favorite verses is in verse 3, where he says, and I'm paraphrasing, that we ought not think of ourselves more highly than we ought to think.
My God.
But to think sober as God has dealt every man, gender, woman, a measure of faith. Like, stop thinking you all that, because we ain't all that, man. We are just as messed up as the next person. And like you said, we got to live better, literally transform our minds. And it's like, it's not living better as it's a super holiness thing. Just living better. That's it. Like, not living better. We're not saying that you got to walk through the corridors of life to come up my mind. Man, ain't nobody got time for all that. Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, just live better. Like,
talk to me in English.
We'll be talking about this. We ain't got all night, man. But that
talk to me in English.
Right. It just really irks my nerves on how people just, like, we have the appearance of holiness, or this zealousness that the Bible talks about, but Like we're not living, and it's an everyday fight to live better, right? I stopped saying practice makes perfect because we don't have the ability to be perfect. Practice doesn't make you perfect. Practice makes you better.
Yes.
Stop. We can't. Now that doesn't mean that we don't do what Paul says and we don't press toward the mark, because that's a continual press, right? When we look at that text, he's talking about it's something that we're continuing on a day-to-day basis. But he's also wise enough to tell us that that you won't make the mark. Just because you won't make perfection doesn't mean you don't press towards it. So practice doesn't make perfect. It makes you better.
Yes.
Right? So we just got to be better, right? Wake up in the morning
Better every day.
That's better. You smiling today, right?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Get rid of that attitude we walk around with. Like, you're living. That's better. Like the simple things, right? We put so much on Christianity to where we've made Christianity fun. If I didn't have some of the experiences in my life that were out of church, I would have walked away from the church, because church, it ain't fun. Like when I look at it, I'll be like, man, y'all, some folk don't make church fun. Why would I want to believe in a Jesus that's not fun? Every time I saw Jesus, he was at a party. He was at the wedding. They was turning up. He brought the best wine, but don't nobody want to talk about that though. Right? He was at Zacchaeus' house, right? A known tax collector. They was turning up at Zacchaeus' house, but don't nobody want to talk to that. Jesus was at the well talking to the lady that had 4 husbands, right? And the fifth one, had 5, and the one she was with was somebody else, and he was just having a regular conversation with her. But don't nobody want to talk about that though. Like, Jesus was a regular cat.
Yeah.
But we try to, not that he isn't Lord. He is. We're not taking away his godship, but just his regular interaction with people. We try to act like we're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make.
I would. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry about that. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I would say this is that you got to know your boundaries. You got to know your boundaries, right? Because he did all that stuff and he was without sin.
Right.
Some of y'all can't even walk past the liquor store without getting a 40 out. So
listen, man, how he make the best. Jesus, that need to be a show topic, man. We might do a topic on our own. He made the best wine and didn't sin.
He made the best wine and did not sin.
Topic. He made the best wine.
What's wrong with your tolerance?
Right. What's wrong with your wine? He made the best wine.
I like
still
that.
Didn't sin. No, we're gonna let that alone.
We're gonna have to do that. We're gonna have to do that.
Your members gonna get us, man.
Oh no! You see, you don't know my members because we are. They know about the foolishness, and they know that we discuss the foolishness that happens in church. Because that's my role.
What was the wine? Was it a Merlot? Was it a Cab? Was it a Chardonnay? Was it a Blend? What was it? Was it Ace of Spades, or was it,
whatever it was?
You know what I mean?
Whatever it was, he did it.
He did it well, out of water. Listen.
So this is a good transition into our topic tonight, which is, what are you doing with that? And I called my brother on tonight because we want to discuss really stewardship. And I think that the church has disserviced what stewardship really is. We have limited it to tithes and offerings, right?
Yeah.
And kingdom stewardship advances far beyond those things, right? So when you think about stewardship, and I guess I would just give what I was thinking what the topic was, Genesis 1:28, when it says, God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth, subdue it, rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky and over all the living creatures that move on the ground. God had a specific intent for his creation called humanity, right? And it's spelled out here as humanity relates to earth. this earth that we live in, there is he gave us a level of stewardship over the earth. And part of what has happened, and I'm going to bounce it over to you, is that when we look at coronavirus and when we look at poverty and famine and all, and even the natural disasters, right, that are increasing and increasing, it's all really because of humanity's failure to be good stewards over the earth. And I think a lot of times we're blaming the devil for all of this stuff, and really, it's just a result of poor stewardship.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that for a minute. Kingdom stewardship. What you got to say, bro?
Man, I think you hit the nail right on the head as it pertains to kingdom stewardship. It's everything, right? It's everything that God put in our under our dominion. Even in the garden, uh, they lost fellowship for a minute, but the Lord never took our dominion away,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then when Jesus came, He restored us back into right relationship and fellowship with God. But yeah, He gave Adam a job,
Mm-hmm.
right? He gave Adam a job, and He said, "This is what I need you to do." And then the Lord brought Eve onto the scene and brought Eve onto the scene to help Adam with the assignment that God had gave him. Okay, now that both of you all are here, now be fruitful and multiply, and then help. You all help each other with this assignment, right? To make sure that you are being, I would say, good caretakers, right? It's the Lord's by ownership, and when we say ours by trust, I say trusteeship. I just finished a couple of, I believe, a few months ago, a stewardship series, and I really didn't deal with the finances, all that much, right? Because how are we stewarding our life? How are we
Mm-hmm.
stewarding the relationships we have with people? How are we stewarding, right, what the Lord has just placed? How are we stewarding the development of our children? It's everything. It's not always just tithes and offering on a Sunday morning. It's everything, right? Like you said, coronavirus and climate change, and because we're after just doing so much. And I would say some of it, Beard, if we're gonna be honest, we're in this place that we're in because we haven't stewarded the proper relationship with Christ, right? That relationship is paramount. I tell people all the time, my order, now somebody else can argue, I believe it's supposed to be your relationship with Jesus Christ, your family, then ministry, and then everything that falls back behind that. Most people put God and church the same. They're not the same, right? And it's gotten us in trouble. God and your work and ministry are not the same, right? And they don't go in that order. It's God, then family, then ministry, in the right order. And if we get back in our right relationship with God, not trying to be overly spiritual or deep, but the Lord said it best: "If my people who are called by my name," right? If we were doing what we were supposed to do, we would be helping to save the earth, because that's a
Mm-hmm.
personal pronoun. God said, "If my people," we would be able to restore the entirety of the earth back to where it needs to be. It's really on us to help
Mm-hmm.
everybody else that don't even believe. God said,
Mm-hmm.
I would do them a favor if y'all would act right, right? So it's us that's not acting right, and we're the ones not walking the way we need to walk with the Lord. And if we did that, I think it would cause us to have a greater impact in those circles, right? We would be able to have the ear of the presidents, right? Future and past, the ear
Mm-hmm.
of our senators and representatives, right? On the state, the federal, state, county, and city level, right? We would be able to have the proper influence we need to have so that those that are in power of our systems would be making the right decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But because we haven't stewarded our relationship with Christ, it has allowed us, or it has caused us to lose our influence So when the church stands up on any issue, they don't really take us serious. Why? That's what we talked about a little bit earlier. Some preacher, pastors, or whatever, churches as a whole, whether denominations have been paid and bought for a price, whether it's it's all of us are guilty, from the Roman Catholics to the evangelicals to the Baptists, AME, CME, Kojic, it don't matter. Pentecostals, apostolics, the whole gamut, Southern Baptists, Western, all of us are falling guilty in some area or another of our stewardship towards the Lord. We've kind of looked out for our own, like you said, our own self-interest, and it's really causing us to not do what the Lord has really called us to do as humanity.
Yes.
He gave us, like you said, it outlines it in Genesis 1:28. You all are stewards of all things that are on the earth, and how you all are doing that is a reflection, and we see it's a reflection in how we live our life now. Right? We're all these things we are suffering with as a result of a lack of stewardship for what God has blessed us with. Some people believe in climate change. Other folks think it's a hoax, right? Right. And we're so. I don't know. Like I said, I'm only 39, but I can remember when people that disagreed, they didn't disagree to a point to where they became disagreeable. Right now, if I disagree with you, Beard, we can't be friends no more because I disagree. What the world is wrong? What's wrong with that? Like, people, just because we have differings of opinion does not mean that I don't love you anymore, or I just disagree. That's it. But it's almost like, remember we were talking about on the show last week. It's is it all or nothing? Right? It seems that the world is turning into a zero-sum game. If you don't agree with me, that means you're my enemy. Well, what part of stewardship is that? What if what you're doing is incorrect, or I can help you to progress or be better in what area, and I can help advance you. But what you're doing is not right. Does that mean I hate you? Because, hey man, don't invest that money there. Listen, that company is taking your money. Invest it over here, man. You're gonna be able to get a better return. Now you mad at me because I'm trying to help you save your own money? Come on, you know what I mean? It's like we're so polarized.
So one of the things that I'm in the insurance industry, and there are different options of life insurance, right? And everyone has their opinion, and companies have their opinion, and I try hard not to, and I've worked with a few of them, and I try not to down talk what someone else is doing just because it's not something that I would do, right? Because that's a solution for somebody. What I have is a solution for somebody, but what you have is a solution to somebody. And while the industry may say that we're in competition, really what we're just trying to find out is that who have I been called to be a solution to with what I have, right? And some of your preacher friends may get mad at me for this, but I believe that we have placed such an emphasis on church, and I believe that the institution of church is more of a social construct than a God construct, right? And the reason that I say that is that when we examine even the book of Revelation, when we get to the 20th, 21st, 22nd chapter, when we're talking about God dealing away with everything, basically that's not him, right? The Bible says, I believe it's in the 22nd chapter, it talks about that there is no temple because God the Father and God the Son, right, the Lamb, they are the temple, right? So when I read that, I'm like, so God is not even as interested in church as we are. right? Because in eternity, there's not going to be no church, right? Our worship is going to be exclusively for him. So I think that we have lost our stewardship having church sometimes, having a good service. We have been
all that stuff going on, man. We got so much pomp and circumstance going on that I tell people that if you don't learn how to praise God down here on earth, you must not be planning on going to heaven, because that's all we gonna be doing all day, every day. There's people at the throne of God, you know, the 112 elders throwing their crowns continuously all day, every day, doing nothing but giving God the glory. Holy, 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 the earth is full of your glory. What do you think we gonna be doing when we get to heaven? Ain't no Laker game. Ain't no NFL in heaven. Ain't no baseball. There ain't no beach. Well, at least as far as we know. I don't know.
Can I jump in? Can I jump in on you?
Yeah, man.
It's not going to be a beach, because when he creates a new heaven and a new earth, it says there's not going to be any water. The only water is going to be the river coming from there. But we're not even going to be singing and shouting. And this is, we'll have to talk about this. But the extent to which in my research to where I see us being in heaven is for 7 years. And then God's like, no, you're going back down with Christ to go fight this battle, and you go spend eternity back on earth, right? He creates a new heaven and a new earth. What it is that, and this is very important for the topic today, is that it's about stewardship, because eternity is not us floating around, but eternity is actually us being stewards on this earth, serving the Lord, right? We're going to spend eternity on this earth, serving him. We're going to serve him for 1,000 years for that reign. And then God's going to create a new heaven and new earth, and we're going to have assignments. The Bible is not very clear on what it is that our assignments are. But when I think about it, and we quote that scripture, you've been faithful over a few things, I'm going to make you ruler over many, right? How good we are at being stewards here on the earth, I believe is going to be a contributing factors to what our rewards and our assignments will be when we do get to heaven, and he gives us those assignments, right? And I think that we are failing now because we're trying to be other people, or who other people have called us to be and told us that we are, and we haven't really examined who God created us to be, because that is the thing that we need to be stewards over, right? I know the bishop has you as their armor bearer, and you holding up their arms and holding their Bibles, right? Because for some reason they too anointed to hold their own Bible. I know you wiping the sweat and all that stuff, but what is it that is your purpose that God has called you to? It's nothing wrong with serving, but it's something wrong with if you're serving and not being who God has created you to be. You're not being a good steward. And in church, we waste people's time. We waste people's money. We waste people and exploit their talents, right? And these are all things that happen in the church, right?
In the church, I tell people all the time, everybody ain't built to preach. Everybody's not built to sing. Everybody's not built. Like, you have to find out, just because your job, your 9 to 5 may be in finance, it doesn't mean that the Lord, for the purposes of ministry, needs you to be on the trustee board or on the finance team. That's your job. That may not be what you're called to do in ministry, right? There's difference. And I think we really authentically need to find out what our gifts are. And what we're really truly gifted in. And I think one of the ways, a lot of people have these gifts tests and stuff like that. I've always believed that what's your gift is what comes innately to you, right? It just comes to you, and you can do it without getting paid. It brings you joy, and you just love to do it. Some people are gifted to cook. Some people are gifted like in helps. And other people are gifted, right? Like, what is that gift? Some people are gifted to sow. If you in the church and you just love to sow and it brings you joy, man, start a sowing ministry.
Yeah.
me, along with a whole bunch of other people, need to know how to make sure we can still sew a button on a shirt or knit a quilt or different stuff like that. Like, you never know, like you said, how that can be impactful in that area. Work in your gift. And if you do that, I believe you would be more involved in ministry. Why? Because what you're doing, it brings you joy. You're not doing what the pastor wants you to do. Because if you do what, if they do what me or you ask them to do, Beer, then after a while, they're not going to love it, because they're not doing it out of the joy, out of from their heart of what the Lord has gifted them to do, and their gift that they can render back unto Him. They just doing it because Pastor Beer said it. Or I'm here because Pastor Hall asked me. I really don't want to do this. So I tell people all the time, like, listen, if this is not what you really want to do, let's find a succession plan. And let's find out what it is that you're passionate about doing, because that you gonna beat me to the church or to the temple or to the sanctuary or wherever it is, because now you're rendering that gift back unto the Lord. So yeah, we definitely have to be better stewards. Oh man, just over everything, right? Even down stewards over our speech. Better stewards over our eyes and what we hear, what we listen. It's and not trying to get deep, but just what we take in. Just it's everything, man. I couldn't stress it enough. Really, just being a better steward overall of everything that the Lord has really placed under our care. That when we get to that part of the scripture where it says, and we see when the eye have not seen, nor ear heard, right? We can't even fathom what this next part of what this new heaven and new earth is going to look like. But I want to be a part of it.
Yes.
I don't want to necessarily be one of those ones that He has to wipe the tears away from my eyes because I didn't do what I was supposed to be doing down here, and He gonna pop up the Blu-ray or the 4K and said, if you would have did this, you would have got all of this, right? And now He got because you up in there, you saved and you made it, but you crying and you weeping because it's a whole bunch of rewards I could have attained and I didn't get it because, right, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't being a good steward over what He has, because I'm just trying to make it to the other end, and like you said, I'm be old church real quick. I want to run on to see what the end gonna be like.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I think the most thing, and I've been teaching on Tuesday nights for our Bible study on leadership, because that's really the for the last 16 years I've been in corporate management, right? So all those skills, all those trainings that you go through, I'm teaching my members how to be better leaders, and we've been spending a few weeks on time and redeeming your time, because I think that is going to be, time is something that God has allocated to us. He's given us. It's a gift. None of us know how much of that gift we have, right? And you kind of alluded to this earlier. We don't know how much time we have. So, and if some of us are honest, we will remember that and look back and say that we've wasted a lot of time. Even in the last year, how much time have we, in the last week, how much time have we wasted? Today is Monday. Just today, how much time have we wasted, right?
Yeah.
All of those things, I believe, are the things that we are being accounted for, and we focus on, you're gonna be accounted for, how much you sleep around with somebody that's not your husband or your wife, blah blah blah. That you're gonna give account, but we never really tell people that you're gonna have to give an account for this gift that God has given you, right? And what are you doing with it, right? And you mentioned the lady, who may be a seamstress or whatever, may be able to sew, and you talked about, starting a ministry. But see, and this is the anti, I guess, churchiness in me. I'd rather see her go start a business. You start a business, let that business be successful, and then you come back and bring those skills to the church. So then other people, and I think that if you are being a good steward of something that you can, that's only effective in the church, you are not walking in your God purpose.
Yeah.
God called you to more than what you do at your church. And I think that what we have this disconnect between, what I do in church and who I am in church, and what I do and who I am at home. And we don't see that when we're walking in our purpose, it all kind of meshes together, right?
It all.
It all aligns, right? And I think that the church we've been holding gifts hostage inside the church, and not really giving people the tools, and empowering them to go out now. There's some people that have done some great things in church, came up with some great spreadsheets, came up with some great templates and things like that, and churches hoard them versus saying,
Yeah.
okay, you did that, I'm going to put you in connection with, the church around the corner, because they're trying to build something. So now you go be a freelance for them. And I'm going to make sure that they pay you for the skills that you're bringing to the table, right? It's not all glory be to God. No, we want to sow into what you're doing, because this is something that is kingdom and not just church. It's bigger.
Right.
It's larger.
Your gift should be making room. Your gift should be making room for you. And I'm with you. The church should be a training ground where we give people space to be able to grow those gifts, develop those gifts, and foster them. That if they do turn into a way that a person can grow and create a business from it, hey, this is the training ground where you should be able to do that, not be demonized for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because like you said, we only look at the showy ones. We get mad at people that are in the music industry when you can hear right off the bat a church in somebody's throat,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can hear in Casey's throat. He got church. Fantasia got church written all over her, right? Most of the singers out there that can really sing, you
Mm-hmm.
know that gift in some sort, form, or fashion was fostered in the children's choir, in the young person's choir, the young adult choir, right? And then they got to a level or a place where they wanted to expand, and then the church shut them down.
Mm-hmm.
So then they left hurt, and now they blow up and become whoever they became because the Lord blessed them with that gift, and now the church mad.
Yep.
But well, you tried to stymie somebody's gift, and it goes across all spectrums. You have young men and women that have came and that are, like you said, that are CEOs of huge conglomerates that
Mm-hmm.
probably could have been blessing to many of ministries, but we're stunning people because we're putting people in this, right, this
Yep.
box, that if you don't do what it's you supposed to do for the church inside of this box, that ain't of God. Well, who said so? Who said that? Like
Mm-hmm.
we put God in a box, um, to where he can't, like you said, he can't move and he can't do. So I try to pride myself as much as I can not to be a Pharisee, a Sadducee, or a scribe. I don't want to turn into one of those people that, I know the word, I know the laws, I know all these ways of God, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm suppressing the people because I want control. Right? I
Yeah.
think a lot of it is about that control and about that power. I'm not here to control you and to have power over you. I'm here to help you foster what it is that God has given you. Like you said, in areas, put some structure around it so
Yes.
that you can, and teach you how to move in and out of this world system. But man, let that thing blow up and do what you do, and not be mad at it.
Yeah. And then then preacher man, you don't have to be asking nobody to give you a offering and all that stuff, because what you have imparted into them has made them successful out. And that's really how you ignite the light in the world, right? You
Right,
don't keep the light of the world inside of a four walls of a church, right? You get them
right.
out, right?
It'll come back. Yeah, it will. I think if we authentically do what we're supposed to do, it may not come back in whatever fashion we may want it to come back, but the Lord will make sure that He returns what we have, like you said, what we planted. When you plant something and you water it, it will grow, right?
Yeah.
And it's never going to grow at the pace we want it to. Weeds are the only thing that grow fast. I just said,
You just said,
weed is the
I got
only
it.
thing that grows fast.
Yep.
So we don't want, that quick return. It's gonna take time. But then, if we're gonna argue the other side, let's raise that. Yes, if you're in the church, will you get burned, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, it comes a part of with the territory. We are going to get burned. You are not going to get out of this without your Peter, Thomas, or Judas. It's impossible. Jesus had a Peter, a Thomas, and a Judas. You're going to have somebody that's going to betray you, somebody that's going to doubt you, and somebody that's going to deny you.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get around it. If Jesus had it, who are we to think that we're not going to have it? Right? You know what I mean? So that it's par for the course. Everybody is not going to be on your team. But for those that have grace, I think that the Lord still gave grace. Peter was able to be restored. Thomas was able to be restored. Judas, that's a whole argument that we don't really have time to go into it. But we do see in Scripture how he felt sorrowful after he did what he did, and because that sorrow led him to commit suicide. And I'm hopeful that at least I would have wished that he would have went back to Jesus and said, "Man, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that." And I firmly believe that the Lord would have restored him. And don't know if he was restored. We don't know because Judas passed before the Lord went and before he died on the cross. So who are we to know that Jesus did not were able to preach to him and restore him back and to snatch him out of the pit of hell? We don't know. But that metaphor was to let people know that you're going to have people in your life that are not going to make this road easy for us. That doesn't mean that we get so hardened that we change our approach to people. And now we start to maneuver and do certain things that over the long road, it's not going to benefit us. We, like you said, with the parable that Jesus gave with the 5 talents, 2 talents, 1 talent, I think that speaks to the topic that we're on with stewardship. A lot of people preach that as a money aspect, but we don't know what the Bible didn't describe to us what those talents were. All we do know is that 2 of the individuals took the talents that they had, they invested them properly, and they got a return. It was only the one that had that 1 talent that he wasn't a good steward over what he had and didn't bring the master a return.
Which goes back to Genesis. Jesus saw the 2 being good stewards, having dominion, replenishing, multiplying, right? And that's what it's about, is that God wants to do great things through us. And he will exploit it. If we yield it to him, he'll exploit it. And that's how we go. And our name is great. That's how we go before kings and great people, right?
Right.
John Wesley said this. He said something to the nature of, without God, man can't. And without man, God won't, right? So he won't do certain things on this earth without the partnership of you and I, right?
Right.
The thing about it is that you have to know who you are, what he has called you to do, so then you can be a good partner, right? If you're trying to be someone else, then he's looking at you and he sees fraudulent all over everything that you do, right? But when you walk in and that little that you have, he will definitely expand that thing, right? Not saying that you don't have to do the work. You may have to get a degree. You may have to get a certification. You may have to read some books. The same way you go to the gym and you work on your physical, you gotta work on that gift that God has given you, even though it was given to you, right? because you have to be prepared for him to be able to use it in any way or any venue that he sees fit.
Right. It's almost like the it's like looking at the life of Kobe. Kobe was my man, uh, just my favorite player of all time. But you can look at, he had a gift, but he just didn't sit on the gift. He matured that gift to a way that we knew whether you liked him or disliked him. And really, the only reason why you would dislike Kobe Bryant is because of his personality. If you know anything about the game of basketball, you have to respect him for who he is in basketball. You didn't like him on a personal level. Well, somebody may not like you on a personal level too. This man was just in public, and his what he did wrong got out. Let's let yours get out and see how you act. But that's another story. You know what I'm saying? So that's why folks, some don't like Kobe, but we know that everything, he got every ounce out of his gift that the Lord gave him, right? And we started to see, and I think that's why some of us hurt so much, because we started to see other gifts that he had in the arts, right? Really the area of the arts that was starting to take fruition. And we were like, oh man, this dude is about to become as dope as he was in basketball as he is in the arts, like with winning an Oscar and writing books. And then he had a equity firm and was doing that. I mean, so when I look at him as a good model of getting every ounce out of the gift that God gave him and be able to translate that into what we're doing. You know, Lord, help me to be able to get every ounce of this gift that you have given me out. Am I maximizing this time? Because how do we know he was going to be gone this early? Like you said, you mentioned just a few minutes ago, we don't know how much time we're allotted. Nope. We say he went early. The Lord is like, well, that's all the time I gave him. But look what he did, right? If we take Chadwick Boseman, look what he did with the 40 some odd years he had, right? Like, man, some people may get 80, right? Somebody else may get 30 or 20 or whatever. But man, when you look at some of these giants of men and women that have came on the earth, and the truth be told, everybody is a giant in their own way.
Say that.
We have to qualify that. Just because your name is not Kobe Bryant or Chadwick Boseman or Ruth Bader Ginsburg or John Lewis or Martin Luther King does not make you less than. You know what I'm saying? You're still a mother or a father to somebody. You're still a leader to somebody in your own environment, in your own space. Somebody is looking up to you. Somebody is looking at you as a blueprint on how to do something. Just because it may not be on a grand, what we say is a grand scale. How do you know that? Right? How do you know just because man is determining what's grand and what's not? Right? We can't look at it from that sphere. We're looking at it from a different place. Man doesn't determine who's a superstar, right? We really, like you said, we really won't know our impact until we get on the other side. We're looking at what if the people that we put up on these whole pedestals may not get rewarded with the ruler over many like somebody else that we don't even know. Just like the lady that remember when Jesus was at the offering and all them folk was dumping in over with their excess, right? And the regular church be like, oh man, they dumping thousands. Look at the tithes and offering they giving. And when this lady gave 2 pennies, and Jesus stopped the whole press and said, hey, she gave more than everybody in here. Right? Because it's not about the showy stuff, right? It's the intent. It's the intent of the heart. And and she was the one that went away more blessed than everybody. So we can't get caught up on what the world will try to portray as what's good in that I think that's the trick of the enemy, because he's out for the flash. Solomon said it best. It's all vanity and vexation of spirit, all that stuff. And he's a perfect example. He had it all.
Mm-hmm.
And if Solomon says it's vanity and vexation of spirit, who are we to say different? He was
Wow.
the wisest man to ever live, and one of the richest that we know.
Wow.
So,
Let me tell you, my brother and my sister, those of you who are still on today, Pastor Roshod Hall hit it on the head when he said hit the nail on the head when he said that all of us are great. And you may not have felt great in your life. You may have done some things that were not so great. But I want you to understand that there's greatness on the inside of you. You just have to yield and submit to God. If Christ is your Lord and you're submitted to him, and you are walking in the spirit, he will bring out all of the greatness that he has deposited inside of you from the day that you were born. So don't discount yourself. Stop trying to compare yourself to other people. Start looking at the excellency that's inside of you. You are a king, you are a queen, you are a giant. And when you tap into that thing that is your purpose, you will be non-stoppable. You have a solution to somebody's problem, and someone's going to keep having their problem until they run into you. When they run into you, make sure you know the solution that you are. Make sure you know that you're valued. Brother Pastor Roshod, I want to thank you, brother. Thank you for joining on today. I also just want to thank you because there were a few people in the last couple months of this year that have really given me the courage, right, and confidence or whatever to just step out and even do what I'm doing now, which is this show. And I want to just publicly say that you are one of those people. Frank allowing me to call in and talk on his show. You allowing me to call in and talk on your show. I have another brother that's going to be on next week, allowing me to be on his show. Because while God was speaking these things to me, I was saying, I don't have time. I'm not going to do it. I don't like my face out. And all of these little opportunities kind of led me to really submit to what God was calling me to do with these things. So I want to publicly thank you, brother, for what you're doing. And I want to encourage you to continue to doing what you're doing. For those of you, if you would like to support Monday Moments with Marcus, I do have a new Cash App name, MD Beard 1980. MD Beard 1980. You're more than welcome to go there and support. If not, I just really want you to make sure that you are clicking in every Monday night at 6 p.m. Where we are just talking about Kingdom Talk. So thank you, Pastor Roshod. You got anything you want to say to your people?
man, I just want to publicly thank you, man. You've been such a blessing, and you've been an encouragement to me. I'm here to encourage you and to encourage all of those that have subscribed. If you haven't subscribed to Pastor Beard's channel, you all subscribe. Put the alert on there if he's on Facebook or IG, Twitter, all of them. You all go and support this man of God. He's doing a great work. He's been a support to me, man. I'm humbled and I'm honored that you would ask me to be on. I pray that our discussion we had today was a blessing to those that are viewing, and it was helpful to them. Just the honest, candid conversation. We don't try to be up there in the clouds nowhere. We try to come and meet people right where they are, man. So thank you for the privilege of allowing me to come and just share your platform with you, man. I pray blessings on you. And when we get out of this COVID, we definitely going to have to go get you a steak.
Nah, thank you, bro. Thank you, bro. Much love your way. Go enjoy your game. Hope you didn't miss too much of it. And I
Man,
will definitely be
I'm
hollering
a
at you.
Rams fan. I'm a Rams fan. I just enjoy watching football. So I catch it if I didn't catch it, man. This was way more important, man. So Thank you for allowing me just to come on your show, man. Can't thank you enough.
Thank you, bro. Thank you, bro. Good to see you. Thank you all for checking us out. I'll holler at you all later.